In this video, I would like to talk about some of the common misconceptions people have about our closest neighbour, the Moon. At its closest, the Moon is around 362,600 kilometres away, and it takes just over 27 days to orbit the Earth. It also takes that amount of time to spin on its axis, thus always showing the same side to the Earth. This is called tidally locked. And that leads me on to my first misconception. I have seen a few times people talking about how no one knows what's on the other side of the Moon because A, no one has ever been there, and B, it's always dark. That's why they call it the dark side of the Moon. This could not be more wrong. Frank Borman, James Lovell and William Anders on the Apollo 8 mission were only 78 miles or so from the surface of the Moon, and in the 10 orbits that they did, they saw the far side of the Moon many times, and this was back in 1968. And they weren't the last people to see it. Many followed after them, and the far side is mapped in great detail. To get to the Moon, humanity needed to build the most powerful machine ever made, and that took the form of the Saturn V rocket. And here are some interesting facts about the Saturn V. The paint scheme on the rocket, that checkered look, comes from the German scientists who worked on it. When they made the V2, they had this checkered look to make it easy to spot if the rocket is rolling in flight. Though interestingly, the black sections of the rocket suffered from heat spikes, as it absorbed the heat better than the white sections. It was 110 metres high, and in just the first stage of the rocket, 770,000 litres of kerosene fuel and 1.2 million litres of liquid oxygen were needed to produce the 7.5 million pounds of thrust, beginning their journey to the Moon, where they would get to see the so-called dark side. It's also not always dark, just like the side that faces us. It has phases, full moon to new moon. It's all one and the same. When we can see a half moon from the Earth, the far side of the Moon is half in shadow. If, for some reason, this is hard to understand, just get a ball and a torch and move the light around the ball, and you will be able to see this clearly. Another common misconception about the Moon is that the Moon becomes larger on the horizon because it's closer to the Earth. In reality, this is an optical illusion. For reasons not fully understood by astronomers or psychologists, low-hanging moons look unnaturally large when they beam through trees, buildings, or other foreground objects. A likely explanation to this, however, is that you have objects to compare it to, but the Moon has gotten no closer to the Earth the closer to the horizon from your vantage point it gets. And my favourite one. The first words spoken on the Moon were not.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
They were, in fact,
Contact light. Okay, engine stop. APA at a descent. Mode control both auto, descent engine command override off. Engine arm off. Port 13 is in.
That's all for this one. Join me next time in this series for my video. The sun is not on fire.